Leary and Rosemary were smuggled out of the country by the Weathermen, an underground group committed to subverting the American establishment. They delivered Leary to Algeria, where the Black Panthers, the most militant of America's radical organizations, had a government in exile, led by Eldridge Cleaver.
To work with the Black Panther Party for the overthrow of the American government. But we're likely to show up any place, North Vietnam, North Korea, wherever people are struggling for freedom, we'll be there, doing their bit for the revolution in Babylon.
But the Learys and the Panthers didn't see eye to eye on the revolution.
We had thought of the Black Panthers as our cultural heroes, but they thought we were irresponsible hippies.
As the Learys prepared for yet another dinner party, they received a visit from the Panthers.
Shortly before our guests were expected, Eldridge and several Panthers burst into the apartment and dragged us off.
Forced to flee from Algeria, Leary spent a further 18 months on the run from the American authorities. He split up with Rosemary and was finally recaptured by American agents in Afghanistan. Now facing up to 75 years in jail, Leary began collaborating with the FBI. He informed on the people who'd helped him to escape, but his evidence alone was not enough to convict them.
Tim wrote me a letter enclosing a card from an FBI agent, actually, who I should contact. What he was asking me to do was to corroborate, name the people that he was naming. And I could not do that. So I went on the run.
How long for?
22 years.
Rosemary changed her name and went underground. She did not re-emerge until 1995.
Whoa, I'm back. Got a brand new groove.
After cooperating with the FBI, Leary was back on the streets in 1975. In demand on the chat show circuit, he continued to push his favorite message: think for yourself, question authority.
I love to be descended from Eve. The first human being was a woman who stood up on her 2 feet and took the fruit and said, hey, if this is the tree of knowledge, I'm going to eat it because I'm a human being, and forget it, Jehovah.
He married once more for the 5th and last time and moved to Hollywood.
Good to see you, Jim.
Find him and bring him back.
He would be with some great group of these, punky-looking, fabulous woman with 3 degrees, but she's 22 and she's got white hair and everything's pierced and she's an expert on computers and, some amazing young woman.
His comeback was complete when he played out a bizarre double act in a lecture tour with his former archenemy, G. Gordon Liddy.
The real difference between us, the 180 degrees, is not left wing or right wing, it's past versus future. And Mr. Liddy is definitely facing backward, worshiping tradition. And I'm a futurist.
It was no idle boast. Leary had championed the computer age since the 1970s, and when the internet arrived, he was quick to exploit it, to secure his own immortality.
What my father wanted to do with Leary.com was basically centralize his existence and his entire body of work. So the way he did that basically was have a virtual walkthrough of the house, and everything within the house is all interactive. You can click on the painting, click on the book, and then find out about so-and-so.
By 1990, Leary was divorced and alone again. In 1995, he learned he had cancer.
Still performing until he physically couldn't anymore.
What you said in one of your interviews about senility being the ultimate reality.
Finding out he had prostate cancer, he called it Mademoiselle Cancer.
Tune in, drop out, how's that?
Great. Power.
Yes, I did act as a PR person for the brain and the possibilities of changing the brain.
He shunned conventional painkillers which slowed him down, using instead marijuana and balloons filled with laughing gas.
He would say to several people, I did okay, didn't I? I was a good boy.
By the last month of his life, Leary could hardly move, but he still managed one last outing and one last brush with the law.
I was in the car, ahead of the car that Timothy was in, and two of the girls were sitting on the back of the car. They were dancing along to the radio. Wild thing! And I see through the rearview mirror a policeman. He pulls the car over, and Timothy's friend turns to the policeman and says, "Look, officer, slide us a break here. My friend here is dying of prostate cancer. We just wanted to show him a good time before he dies." "Okay, but you girls better sit in the car here." And so it was Timothy as the last caper.
3 weeks later, Timothy Leary died.
He would hope that he was seen as a great philosopher. On the other hand, the cold, sober rationalist in me says that he's simply going to be a historical artifact.
In accordance with his last request, Leary's ashes were launched into space. He is now orbiting the Earth every 96 minutes.
Timothy